Okay, good. Let's get this rolling real quick. So, what is this video going to be about? Specifically, this video is going to be about whether you should worry about food stamps in the future, but more realistically, what are the things to just kind of like watch out for? Because some things can cancel, reduce, restrict food stamps. I looked into what the passage of the law actually was. And to be clear, when they did the passage, they did not restrict basically the funding for food stamps. So food stamps are going to be covered for an entire 1 year cycle, which means that, some groups, for example, receive full funding: agriculture, FDA, military, construction, veteran affairs, legislative branch. Of course, they took care of the legislative branch. But that means that you don't really need to worry about the food stamp situation not being voted on when it comes to like January 30th swapping over to February. And the idea is that a lot of people were worried that, the government, because, it is Democrats versus Trump, that it would shut down again in February. And I just wanted to let you know, just so that you're very, very clear on this, so there's no question with this situation, you'll be fine with food stamps until the next September of 2026 situation. Because then we can go through this same shit show again. Now remember, they did put another $3 billion aside as part of the contingency funds to pay for food stamps. It would have made more sense for them to put aside, for example, let's say $9 billion, to be able to actually cover a month's worth of paying for food stamps. That would have made more sense. But they didn't do that. But the Democrats got out of Trump, the ones that voted with Trump, that made Trump bend a knee, that he would basically, fund for the entire opening an entire year of those food stamps. So the Democrats did make Trump bend a knee a bit when it came to food stamps. So what are the things that you just need to kind of keep an eye out for? And we're going to make this a really short video, but these are the main things you have to watch out for when it comes to food stamps going forward, and potentially having them be reduced, potentially have them be cut off, potentially them having be modified by the legislative divisions of the United States. Before we get into those, please remember, I don't do Medicare stuff. So if you have Medicare questions, give Chapter a call, 339-226-6287. Again, 339-226-6287. AskChapter.org/disability. Give them a call real quick. They'll do a tune-up on your Medicare plan. Other than that, remember to like and subscribe. Let's get into it real quick. So basically, the first thing you have to watch out for is some of the legislation that's coming down. Obviously, Trump is not a super ultra pro pro food stamp oriented president. He is a get your butt out there and work, pull your bootstraps up type of president. Now, we tend to weeble wobble as a country between lots of free benefits for people and get your butt out there and get to work. That tends to be our weeble wobble effect that we have in the United States. Now, as a result of that, I think we might be seeing more legislation from Trump related to food stamps. However, the grand majority of changes that already took place in the big beautiful bill, that was the main hacking. That was the main, axe to the tree effect of food stamps that we can expect from the Republicans during the 2-year cycle before we go into the midterm election. So don't expect too much change to food stamps going forward beyond what the big beautiful bill did. That's pretty much set as it is. If they go through the midterms and have a successful outcome, then expect other things, potentially expect more limitations, changes, etc. But in the immediate sense, you're probably not going to see a lot of those changes. Now, another thing you just need to watch out for that you should advocate for is having contingency funds from the USA be put aside, for the USDA be put aside that actually make sense. When they put aside $3 billion in contingency funds, that dog don't hunt. That's not going to cover what we need for food stampers. Okay, so at the end of the day, yes, there's a significant reduction in the amount of food stampers. Yes, we won't need $9 billion per month. Yes, we can have a smaller amount, but $3 billion, that ain't going to cut it. That dog ain't going to hunt. We need more. We should do more. We don't want to have people not be able to have food. Yes, hyper funding a lot of the food pantries and getting the military to hand out food. Yes, that is an option. But to be fair, we're not a third world country. You know what I mean? We're just not that. And I don't think we should be operating under the premise that we have to go to that. That doesn't seem like something America should be. We shouldn't have to roll out the military to feed the hungry. You know what I mean? We're just not. I feel like we're better than that. Next thing to keep in mind, you do have the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the OBBBA, signed July 2025, which changes specifically a lot of the benefits that go out to able-bodied individuals. Some of those things and changes happened immediately. Some of them happened in November. Some of them happened in December. Some of them happened at the beginning of January of 2026. Different states come online with different requirements under the Big Beautiful Bill Act. So just be aware, while you may think that you're supposed to receive benefits, you might actually have a reduced benefit, be cut off, etc. But able-bodied workers with older kids, able-bodied workers that are older, those that are immigrants receiving food stamps, those are the main categories of individuals that are going to have a reduction or complete elimination of their benefits. Next thing too. Okay, so you have basically state level opt-outs or funding shortfalls. So as you know, the states kind of split the administering of the benefits with the federal government, but the federal government is the one that actually pays 100% of the benefits. So what we could potentially see as a localized impact is a potential slowdown or shutdown of benefits being paid when they're supposed to, because if you remove funding to state governments, they might not have the same level of capacity to handle the administration of paying all the food stamps that are potentially due. Let me give you an example. Let's say Trump gets into a pissy battle with one of the states, state legislature, the governor, whatever. It was somebody in a state at the state level of the state government. So let's say the feds, Trump gets into a pissy battle with a state politician. If he cuts significant funding to that state in other ways, it might affect the amount of people that the state can hire to administer these benefits. What do I mean by administer? Somebody has to sit there, type in stuff, click the buttons to actually make the money go from, the federal government to your cards. If they do a lot of, basically reductions in staff at the state level, you could see state level opting out of being able to go ahead and pay things timely as a result of funding shortfalls that are happening at the state level. This could also happen to some degree at the federal level, but it's unlikely because, the feds, they make sure the money's there, and the states are really the ones that handle a lot of the processing, although technically it's a 50% coverage event. Next thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people in the future don't really know what the rules are, the new rules that have come out. There are restrictions for individuals, but the main thing I want you to worry about is essentially household non-compliance. If there are individuals in the household over a certain resource limit, remember the 130% federal poverty level is usually what we're looking at when it comes to gross income. If there's individuals that are then attached to that house that then have an income over a certain amount, that particular income could make you household non-compliant. So I just want to make you real clear, and I can do a full video on that, but in the immediate sense, you have to watch essentially what happens when it comes to those individuals that are staying in your house and considered a part of your household. If you have somebody that is outside of the allowable spectrum of elemental requirements for you to receive food stamps, it's going to suck for you. So just remember, if you have people moving into your house, if those people have certain income, if they are considered part of your household, you might have what's then considered a non-compliant household, which would super suck. So I just want you to be aware of that as another thing. Another thing that I think people have kind of gotten a little bit better on, but they still suck at, is being on top of your recertification. Please, in your cell phone, put it in your phone that you have to recertify at a particular time, at a particular place, a particular whatever. Please put your recertification in your phone. I don't care if you have to put it over and over and over again. It doesn't take much time to just put your phone on repeat to tell you every month, every quarter, every whatever stuff that you have to do. In fact, I'll do a video on that. I'll specifically say, in your little, put in your phone, say these things, because that way, at this time, on this day, at this place, and this is the website you go to handle your recertification process. Because a lot of people, they miss stuff. You know what I mean? They don't get the letter, they don't get the email, they don't get the this, the that, and then all of a sudden they don't have food stamps, and a lot of these people need food stamps, Okay, and now another thing that I think is important. Please remember, you live in a Doge country now, which means that a lot of you that would little wiggle here, little wiggle there, you sell your around and find out right now. I mean, technically as a lawyer, I have to tell you, don't ever F around and find out, but particularly right now, between now and the midterms, the level of F around and find out that you have with doing things with your food stamps is extremely dangerous. And look, America's most viewed, subscribed to, and clicked on disability attorney. You need a disability attorney, you can always give me a call. But please realize, from the perspective of me, as an attorney, I have to tell you not to do illegal things. But please realize, if you're going to not do illegal things, now's the best time to just start not doing illegal things with your food stamps. It's a good moment right now. Real quick, Shelly97633, let me do a big heart there. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you for the $5 donation. I super appreciate it. She said, thank you for clearing up the chaos, Walter. And I super appreciate that because these videos, they take time. And obviously the funds help me buy the media gear to go ahead and do more stuff. We're going to have some music videos coming out soon too, which is absolutely awesome. We have some pre-shot, so we are pretty excited. Now, next thing. Okay. Additional details that you need to know, kind of final details. All right. There are potential legal outcomes on the horizon that could affect food stamps. So you guys know that Trump could change the outcome of food stamps by executive order. The legislature could create rules and laws, Senate and House, that would change food stamps, right? Having a funding shortfall somewhere, having a staffing shortfall somewhere, having you not certifying time, having you not go ahead and have a proper in the legal requirements household could F up your food stamps. But also, there is a category that could change your food stamps as well, and that's called the court system. Specifically, in this case, the Supreme Court, who had a case filed against Trump by a bunch of states. Well, actually, it was 2 main states, and then a bunch of states came together, though, and were part of that whole lawsuit. The point is, there's a Supreme Court case that still needs to work its way through the situation when it comes to how it's going to handle food stamps in the future. This may change the layout of what happens with food stamps. Why? Supreme Courts don't always stay in their lane when it comes to making decisions, because Supreme Court is the ultimate. It's the final. It's the end. It's the terminal nth of basically the court system. And sometimes when they come out with rulings, the rulings have extra stuff in it that like people didn't expect. The potential of the Supreme Court to come out with a final category or change of money or a requirement on the federal government to do something with food stamps, that could be on the horizon. We don't have a lot of movement there. We might get some movement. They might completely end it. They might change something. They might update it. More judges might weigh in. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with the full extent of the Supreme Court going forward. But the point is with this, just be aware that not only the current Supreme Court cases, not only the current circuit court cases, not only the current district court cases exist, but there are state level cases, federal cases, and these have the capacity to change the outcome of food stamps going forward. Let me give you an example. As states come online, as states come online, okay, with the requirements of the big beautiful bill and having to follow it, many of them are likely to sue because a party became injured. Okay, what do you need for a lawsuit? You need a party that becomes injured. You need an unhappy injured party. You need a sad face party. And that party then who is part of an injury can then at that point go ahead, and usually with political party affiliation, usually the Democrats will team up with that person. They will then sue the big beautiful bill, creation, existence, proper future management of it. They will sue the Republicans. They will sue the federal government to change something about it because there is an injured party as a result of it. So just expect there's going to be some of that jazz going on as well. Okay. I'll do a status update on what happened with the Supreme Court case and what's happening with some of the lower level cases. I'll do a status update with how to do basically, what to put in your phone when it comes to recertification. I'll do some more food stamp videos because I think honestly, a lot of people are confused about what's required with them. Anyways, Attorney Walter Hnot, I'm feeling a little bit sick again, but that always happens to me because I get sick and then I'm okay and then I get a little sick again. I will catch you all a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe. And also, I'm going to go live this upcoming week. I'm going to start going live again on Monday and Thursday, so long as I don't get really sick again. And then also, please remember, if you need a private consultation where you're not looking for me to represent you, but you just have a question or a weird thing to work on, 30-minute, 1-hour consultation, mini contract below. I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful night, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, Attorney Walter Hnot. Bye-bye, everybody. Have fun. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.